Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to another video by Ratchets and Wrenches, and today we're going to be wrapping up our pre-purchase inspection of a used car. This video is going to cover any, looking for any previous body or frame damage that the car might have, and how to spot them. Something to be said about inspecting a used car. If you're going to buy a used car that's, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years old, there's a very good chance that it's had more than one or more panels, sprayed at some point. Finding a panel that's been sprayed doesn't necessarily mean it was in a crash. Just basically all it means is the panel's been resprayed. That's all. But we're gonna try to find out why it was resprayed. Most of them, and 80% of them, are just because of a minor dent or dink or scratch. Maybe if the paint faded. That happens a lot in Southern California where I am. So a lot of cars get get their hoods, maybe the top, the trunk, they get them resprayed. So but you wanna, once you find a fender that's been sprayed, you want to find out why. So first, what I like to do is start from the front of the car. Obviously, you want to start checking the body lines, make sure they line up. The hood lines up with the fender, both at the bottom and up top, and also the space from here is the same all the way to the top. And not only that, but the space on this side needs to pretty much equal the space on this side, and also the body lines need to line up. And on this car, this is they all line up and they look fine. Next, you want to check out the bumper. The bumpers, in my experience, they tend to rarely be in a line. They tend to rarely line up, but because people hit things, they bump into things, and it throws it off. Especially on this car, actually, since this car requires, if someone does the timing belt on this job, requires the bumper to come off, and since it's done usually by mechanics, they rarely put it back exactly the way they're supposed to do, as opposed to like if it was being done by a body man or at a body shop, they would probably pay more a lot of attention to it to line it up. And as you can see, this bumper doesn't line up with this headlight. It's further in now. I don't know yet why this is like that. I'm assuming maybe it was this, maybe they scraped something, they hit something and they pushed this side in, or it could mean it was because of further damage on the inside. But for now, we're just gonna stay on the outside of the car. And yeah, so this bumper is on the inside of this headlight on this side, and it's popping out on this side. There's also, usually these bumpers are held in with little clips and whatnot, so they tend to pop out from time to time, especially on a car that's, this is a 1998 and it's an older car, so you want to keep that in mind. Okay, so next you want to make sure the steering wheel is pointed straight forward, and then you want to check out the wheels. You want to take a look from the top on one side, just make sure you see how much the wheel is protruding past the fender, if any, and then you want to go ahead and compare it to the other side. Okay, and here's the left side. Now they're both about roughly the same. You want to do this just in case there's like severe damage to the frame that the control arms connects to. I've had a car where this was the problem that I had. If I had checked this already before I bought it, I would have known. But yeah, just the car drove straight. I mean, the alignment was correct, but just it was just the frame was just the bend on this side, and this wheel was sticking out like an inch more than the other side. So if I had known that, probably wouldn't have bought it. But anyway, is learn from my mistakes. Okay, so next we're gonna start inspecting the body lines on the sides. By that I mean making sure all of these line up, all these are equally spaced, the space between the fenders and the doors are equal all the way from the top to the bottom, and that goes for both doors and the rear quarter panel, making sure the spaces are even. Okay, so after you inspect and make sure all the spaces between the doors and between the panels on this side are equal, it's probably the best idea to get in the back of the car and then look forward. That way you can spot a lot more. Actually, you're about to see it in a minute, why it's better to look at it from the back. But yeah, so when you get it in the back of the car and you look forward, you want to just make sure you align all these body lines line up. So like if you get a body line on, like we have on this car going forward, you want to make sure that lines up. The door with the rear quarter panel lines up. If you got a body line on the bottom, make sure that lines up. Or if I don't know if it's going to be in the picture, but if you have like square shaped doors like on some cars, make sure the top of the door lines up with the back, the front door with the rear door, and then just keep going forward, you know, just making sure. Look at these lines, these body lines over here, make sure they all line up. And as far as I can tell on this car, they all line, on this side at least, they all line up. So now it's time to check out the trunk. It's basically same procedure. Check out the body lines, especially making sure the spaces are equal, and all the way around, all the way down and around. And on this car, the trunk looks to be pretty much lined up correctly the way it should be. Okay, so the body lines look good on the trunk, but as you can see, there's actually, I don't know if you can see it, but there is some clear coat wear on this trunk. It is, but the thing is, it's only on this side, just from here to a little bit here. You guys probably not gonna be able to spot it, at least up top, but I'll try to show it to you here. You can probably spot it here, but yeah, it's probably, this trunk has been since it's just in one corner, not the rest of the trunk. I'm gonna assume that this trunk has been resprayed at some point. Maybe they didn't do enough good of a job of prep work, and it has started to wear out already on this side. We're gonna get into further inspection, more in-depth inspection in a minute, but for now we're just looking around, looking for obvious signs of, you know, body lines not lining up and clear coat fading and whatnot. But this trunk for sure, 90% chance it's been resprayed at some point. Okay, so next it's time to check out the bumper, making sure the body lines on the bumper line up, and they do. It's all even all throughout, all around. And but next, something else I noticed actually on the bumper also, you can see some minor fading, and if you look closer, you're gonna see some that I really don't think you guys are gonna be able to spot this, but the paint looks different from here up than it looks from here down. It's if you get really close, I'm gonna see if, hopefully you guys can be able to spot this. If you get really close, you can tell that this been I'm thinking they just painted the top of this bumper, just painted here. Probably they had some paint fading issues. They painted it, and they also painted the trunk. That's why looks kind of funky. Now I think they didn't do a good job blending it or prepping it. That's why it's standing out like this. But yeah, I think that's what happened. Okay, so next it's time to check out the body lines on the left side, make sure they line up. Something I've noticed is that the body line on this door here, it's a little off, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. It's not a whole lot, it could be these trim pieces, but it's something to keep in mind. Body line here lines up, and the body line down here lines up, but something I've noticed is that this door is protruding past the quarter panel by a tiny bit, you know. Actually, it's a lot more than the other side. The other side is just flush, and this is just out. It's obvious that it's kind of obvious. It's not. It wouldn't be obvious if you were looking at from the front of the car back, because you know it would just blend in. But if you're looking from the back of the car, this stands out, and you look and you can see it. So there's potential that this door has had maybe some kind of a damage, or maybe it was replaced or not at some point, but it's more likely that it was hit on the side or something, and it was probably hit like this side, like this way, and then it kind of pushed it out. That's why it was that's why it's protruding out a little bit, but it's obviously been replaced, repainted and fixed. So but still, it's a good piece of info just to have. But we're gonna look further to see what's the cause of the door being slightly out of alignment. And just, yeah, you want to keep going further and just check out these body lines, make sure they all line up. So yeah, the rest of the body lines line up, but here's a closer look so you can probably spot it better. See how it's sticking out a little bit. I'm running my finger here and it just catches there easily. Okay, so next we're gonna start opening the doors and checking inside the door jambs. We're gonna start with this one, since we spotted that this body line didn't line up. The door with the rear quarter panel didn't line up, so we're just gonna open it, take a closer look. We're gonna maybe peel back some of these weather stripping past the rubber and check on the inside, see like some, I mean obviously on this door I'm pretty sure it's the original door, but it's not a, they didn't replace the door. But like sometimes if you you run into this, it's a good idea to check out the door, peel back this weather stripping, make sure it's not a different color underneath there. Maybe even pry on this door panel a little bit, check underneath it. Also, if it's got obviously a a VIN number sticker on the door, this door, I can't find it any like around the circumference, but it might be underneath the door panel or somewhere that's not easy to spot. But usually all panels of the cars, like each panel has a VIN number, on there. You just have to basically find it. But yeah, you just if you can't see the VIN number, you just do a visual inspection. Make like if it's got stickers and stuff that look original, that's supposed to be on there, it's probably a good sign. You want to maybe look inside the door jamb, look at the door jambs, make sure like there's no, doesn't look like someone's been messing around with them, trying to remove it, like deep scratches and any kind of damage that could indicate that someone's been down here working with it. Like maybe check out these bolts, like if these bolts were removed, maybe there would be scratches from the Torx bits all around these bolts that would indicate maybe this door had been taken off at some point or not. Also around the bolts, the paint might be might be flaking and whatnot. But yeah, so this door, I can conclude that this is the original door. But next we want to turn your attention to the quarter panel. And same thing for the quarter panel, you just want to peel this back. I can't do it right now, but if you can, you want to peel that back. Or even actually, before you peel that back, you want to look inside the door jamb, because if the door's been painted, the quarter panel might have been painted to blend it in, So in order to do the quarter panel right, if they were to paint both the door and the quarter panel, they would need to usually go to, if they were doing the right way, like if it was being done at the dealership or something, they would need to take out this weather stripping and then paint all the way from here down inside there to make it look as original as possible. But what most shops do is actually tape up around here or here, depending on the shop. It's usually here if they're good. And they just tape it here and then shut the door and then they start spraying. Well, what happens is that the paint still gets inside of this door jamb a little bit in different spots, and you can spot it if you pay close attention. And if you do look closely, you can actually pick up where they paint it. Like they paint it right here, so you can see how that's a different color inside of this door panel, this rear quarter panel, all the way gone to the top, all the inside. Also, sometimes if you run your fingers up and down this quarter panel, if it's really extreme, you can actually feel the ridge from the old paint going over the new paint, and that we also did the giveaway. They probably slightly sanded over this, and that's why it's kind of smooth here. But still, you can pick up the color difference in the paint from the edge going to the inside. So far we have concluded that this door has had a slight damage to the left side. It's been resprayed, and the quarter panel's been resprayed, the trunk's been resprayed, then the bumper has been resprayed. But there's still yet no sign of any severe damage. It's just what was the most likely scenario is that there was a dent on the door. They pulled it or just put Bondo over it, depending how deep it was. They fixed it and they resprayed the whole thing. Another good sign about finding actually, if you're finding actually the sign of respray on the inside of the quarter panel, is that this is gonna mean that this quarter panel is original. So this is not a new. They didn't have to. No one's had to replace this quarter panel, because if they did, it would be all even, because they would probably spray this outside of the car and then put it on the car, or however they do it. It's just it would all blend in. It would just be one. It would just all be all even, and there wouldn't be this discrepancy. So this means that this rear quarter panel is the original. So this door is the original, and it's just basically that they've repaired this side and then painted the quarter panel, the trunk, and the bumper, the rear bumper so far. Okay, so next it's time to look at the front door. We got no reason to believe that this door has been replaced or damaged, but you know, they probably sprayed. There's a good chance they resprayed this. You know, actually this door has been resprayed, and I know that for a fact because I resprayed both these doors, but it was not for that damage. It was because they resprayed, when they resprayed these, it was just a way different color than this door, and then I had to blend this. I have a video series on these if you want to check out my channel. But anyway, what I did was actually I taped up here, all the way here, so it didn't get heat. The paint didn't get inside this door, so it's kind of not a whole lot of evidence besides this rubbing compound that I had to use to sand it. But as far as, you know, looking for overspray and stuff, I think I did a pretty decent job taping it up. So not a whole lot of overspray, but like if you really wanted to figure it out, you could peel this back again and just look on the inside, maybe run your finger. It's actually the only way you can tell is if you run your finger, there's an edge, it feels rougher, you know, you can feel an edge. So that's that's the new paint going over the old paint, and that doesn't necessarily mean, I guess, that the front door was painted, but I guess you can check inside the door jamb to find out if any overspray got in, or also again check out the bolts, make sure the paint around them is not flaking, and not a whole lot of signs of someone messing with these bolts, maybe removing them, since that would mean that the door might be not original. But these bolts all look good. Okay, so now we're gonna check out the right doors. First, the rear one, we're gonna open it up, look inside the door jambs, maybe peel these back a little bit. We got no reason to believe that these doors have been replaced because they all line up, but it's always good to just take a quick look. Take a quick look inside the door jamb quarter panel, and actually I can definitely feel an edge on this rear quarter panel. See, I can definitely feel that with my finger, and yeah, that's definitely paint. It's been painted. It's gone over the old paint. It's even flaking at some points. So something I didn't know before I started this video, this quarter panel has been also resprayed. So far this car has been resprayed from this quarter panel all the way around to at least the front door. We're gonna check the front fender later on that side, but again, another good sign that if a quarter panel is been repainted, it's always good to see this edge, because that means this quarter panel is original. So they painted over old paint, which must have been on the original quarter panel. I guess not must, but definitely high likelihood that it was on the original quarter panel. So yeah, we're gonna check this door, I guess, further, and yeah, I mean, it's got that sticker, but I can't see the no vent stickers on these. It's probably inside the door panel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this door is also the original door, otherwise there would at least be some signs of it that's been replaced. Maybe look at the door jambs, and these bolts all look original. They don't look like they've been messed with. So yeah, this door is the original door. Okay, see if we can see if we can find out if this door has been resprayed. Alright, let's peel these back. Alright. Okay, so I've been having a harder time figuring out whether this door was painted or not until I just took a look underneath the door handle, and as you can see, it's got all sorts of overspray in there, peeling off and whatnot. So yes, this door has been also resprayed. So yeah, it's been resprayed from all the way from this door all the way around to the other side. Okay, so next up, front door. Gonna open this door, checking inside the door jamb for any signs of overspray, which would not necessarily mean the front door was resprayed, but definitely something to look for. And then we're gonna check the door jamb, check the bolts, and they all look original. They don't look like they've been removed at any point. So this front door is original door, but I'm gonna look for signs of that this door has been resprayed. And I don't think it has. Well, I thought the same for the rear one, but let's check inside the door jamb, the door handle, and that plastic looks really clean. No signs of overspray at all. So, thinking this front door, they stopped at here. They probably, actually I think there probably was maybe a dent here. That's why they had to paint it there and then blend it into that. That's why you got some of the base coat on that door handle. They probably blended it up to here and then just clear coated the whole thing and then stopped there. So this front door I don't think it's been touched. Okay, so we got the hood open. Now it's time to try to inspect the front of the car, making sure it hasn't been a front end crash and there's no severe damage to the frame or the unibody on this car. Well, you want to first start off by checking out, making sure the headlights are properly bolted into the body or the bumper support or the radiator support or whatever they bolt on your particular car you're looking at. On this car everything is kind of hidden actually, but these need to all be bolted in properly. And if you're looking at a headlight and it's kind of out of alignment, like maybe one bolt or in one corner there's a bolt missing and you look further and it can't be lined up with where the bolt needs to go, that's why the bolt is missing, then that should send a red flag as to maybe things are out of alignment here because of a crash and things are not easily bolted into the places where they need to be. And you want to check both sides obviously, and then what you want to do is check your fenders. On this, well, on most cars it's easier than this car. On this car I had to peel back these plastic these rubber pieces to look at the fender. You want to basically just measure your fender. Basically is a really thin piece of metal that bolts onto your I think these part of the frame, which you call your left and right aprons. Now if a car has been crashed from the side, these aprons are going to be out of alignment. Maybe this was pushed in a little bit, maybe it wasn't enough to where they could have adjusted the fender, being bolted on it. Maybe they screwed bigger holes in these and pushed the fender a little bit back so it lines up with all the other body lines and stuff. Also, you want to maybe check out these bolts, make sure they haven't, these are original bolts. So if if you see a lot of scratches around them, or the paint that's inside the bolt's been damaged, that could mean that this bolt has been replaced or removed at least at some point. And that could indicate that this fender may not be the original fender, or could also indicate further damage. Also, while you're at it, you want to look at these arms that come out of these are part of your frame. If the car has been in a front end crash, in a severe front end crash, these arms are usually damaged. They either get bent, okay, sorry about that, they either get, they get squished in, and a lot of times they have to be cut, and then sometimes they go to a junkyard, cut another piece and bring that one, weld it on here. They put seam sealer, but there's some welding involved with these obviously from the factory, so you want to be able to tell what's like factory welding and what's a repair to these. But other times maybe they just needed to do one. So if you look at one side and you see some signs of damage there or repair, then you look at the other side, which is impossible on this car, but it's down there somewhere. Yeah, look at the other side, and the other side looks different than the other side. Then obviously that side has been repaired, which would indicate a car's been in a crash. And not all cars that have been in a front end crash that has like that part fixed are going to be bad buys. But you want to take it to a body shop, make sure they can measure everything, make sure they can measure the frame has been, if it needed to be pulled and whatnot, and it's been everything is lining up perfectly as they should. And on top of that, you want to really beat up on the price. There's if you can find out the car's been beat up, it crashed, and then it's been repaired, even though if it's been repaired correctly, it should knock off a good 20-30% off the price. And that's if it's still a clean title. If it's a salvage title, then just knock off 40% and then go from there. But yeah, so you just want to again check out these aprons and make sure they look right, they haven't been bent, and they're not bent all out of shape. The space between the fenders and the aprons are equal too, and all the way around. And then that would indicate that it's probably hasn't been crashed, pushed in from the side or bend those aprons. Okay, also never hurts to, if you suspect the car has been in a front end collision, to just get below the car and take a look at underneath it. Obviously this car has been covered with the splash shield, but a lot of cars don't have the splash shield. But you know, if you can look underneath it, try to look at the body of the frames where the engine, transmission, your control arms are bolted to, and look at those, make sure they're not bent out of shape. That would also help narrow it down to whether it was in a front end collision or not. Okay, next it's time to inspect the rear of the car for any collision damage, and you do that by first obviously opening up the trunk. Then you want to check inside of this side of for the quarter panel, while the quarter panel, you know, attaches to the rest of the body, and you want to look at these where it has been welded, and you want to compare both sides and make sure they're both matches, because if a quarter panel has been replaced, no matter how good they are, they're not going to be able to match the other side looking exactly like the, like if this one was cut here and then put back on there and then welded on, and it would just, no way they would be able to make it out exactly as the other side. So you want to look at them closely, and furthermore you can also look on, you know, get the whatever you can on these sides, get these these covers off, and then look on the inside, like, because even if it hasn't been replaced, you could see signs of damage if it's been hit on the side and it's been pulled or filled, you know, repaired with a bunch of Bondo. You can sometimes you can spot damage, not always, but you know, it always helps. Also, another important is to get the spare wheel out and then inspect the trunk, because let's say if this car has been crashed, you know, someone hit it from the back real bad, they would probably have to cut out a piece of this and then weld on a new piece, and therefore you can spot that easily as well. And yeah, so it's important if you suspect any damage from the rear, like if the bumper is all bent out of shape, or one of the quarter panels looks funky and stuff, it's a really good idea to start pulling these out and inspecting it all around. And obviously same for this side. Again, we cannot spot a whole lot on this car, but on most cars you can. Okay, so actually I think I kind of forgot to mention the roof, what to look for. Well, obviously, basically you want to apply the same things you learn. You know, look around the edges for signs of overspray, inspect these edges very carefully, like because let's say if the car has been in a rollover collision and then the roof has been replaced, these body lines, they may not line up as perfectly as they do right here. Obviously you want to check the rear of it, check the rear of it as closely too. Make sure these lines are, it's very important the lines line up perfectly on the roof. Okay, if there's any signs of these body lines not lining up, or you know, also obviously helps if you have the car on a level ground. I don't have it right here, as you can see it's a little bit of a slope here, but have it at a level ground. Look at it from the rear and the front, make sure it's really even. Yeah, just inspect all around the roof. If you suspect anything looks fishy, you know, anything that doesn't line up or a little fishy, then you might want to take it to a body shop to have it checked out properly. Okay, alright, so with that said, I think that's going to conclude our inspection of the, you know, body and the frame on this car. And just to go over real quickly, we figured out that we do not have any frame or severe frame or body damage. We have this right rear door, right quarter panel, the trunk, rear bumper, left quarter panel, left rear door, and the front door have been resprayed at some point, but they're resprayed probably for minor reasons, just stings and dents here and there. Again, most used cars, anything past 6-7 years old, probably has had one panel at least resprayed, so nothing to be scared of. You know, this front end looks good. It looks in you know, straight as it should, and it hasn't been in a crash. We concluded that this our bumper being out of alignment was probably because of a timing belt job. They didn't put it back on, or it could also be just because they bumped into little things and popped it out of its place. And so yeah, overall the frame is good. You know, the paint is good. So what you find out, it's been resprayed. Again, you know, it shouldn't really affect the price a whole lot, unless, you know, you find out that the color matching is way off, like it was on that side. That's why I had to paint it. But you know, you can use this to try to get a discount on the price if you're going to buy the car, but overall there's no problem with the frame or the or the car. Okay, now there could be a chance that there's a small chance that maybe this car went over something, maybe it bent something underneath it and whatnot. So I'm not gonna say that 100%. I'm sure there's no damage to the frame of this car at all. So you would need to get underneath the car, look for things if you really want to be, certain. And and then again, if you suspect anything, you want to always take it to a professional. They put it on the lift and they know what exactly to look for. So keep that in mind too. But actually, before I wrap this video up, there's another car that I want to do a quick inspection just to show you guys a couple of things that might be interesting to you. Okay, well, here's my Mustang and here's what I wanted to show you. Well, as you can see, this hood is a different shade than the fenders. You can probably see it. Oh, you might not be able to see it. Oh, it's funny how different shades white can be. This hood is kind of gray. It's got gray in it, and the fenders have a little bit of red. You can probably see it better when I put the hood down. But anyway, that should indicate that the hood been at least resprayed. But when you look at it further, as you can see, there's no heat shield, and also there's absolutely zero stickers on this hood. So very good feeling. Pretty sure this hood has been replaced at some point. But what you want to know is why it's been replaced. So okay, so if it was due to a front end collision, you want to start inspecting the frame. So like we said, we want to first start by looking at the aprons. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, you want to look at the apron, making sure it hasn't been bent out of shape, pulled, and then maybe or even replaced. So you want to go around, look at it closely. To me, it doesn't look like there's any severe damage all the way to the top. It looks pretty factory to me. Also, you want to look at the bolts closely. So looking at the bolts, these bolts have some chipping around them, so it could mean that they've been removed at some point. Maybe there's a good chance this fender here is not the original fender. It might have been replaced, but yeah, so they've been replaced. Also, at the same time, the paint on Ford tends to have a lot of chipping issues. It tends to come off quite a lot, but as you can see, the paint has come off just around the bolts where you would put a socket on. So there's a good chance these bolts have been removed at some point. But the apron itself looks okay. It doesn't look that bad. So yeah, so next you want to look at the other apron on the right side. See, these bolts, they don't have any chipping around them, but some surface rust on this one. But this too also is okay. The ones in the back look okay too. The apron where the fender bolts onto looks good. So we're gonna look at this front piece here for now. So if there was a front end collision, this would get replaced, or then you would obviously be able to spot some damage, and you are able to spot some damage. So as you can see, this side has been dented in compared to this side where it's completely flat. That's the other thing, you want to compare them all the time. So because this could, for all we know, this could be, for whatever reason from the factory, they could come in a little curved. This is kind of obvious, but generally speaking, you want to compare whatever you found on one side to the other. Make sure if it doesn't match, that means it's been damaged. So it looks damaged here. It's probably got pushed in, thinking maybe this car was hit from the side. You got all the way there, probably bend the tip of the hood, probably bend it all the way in, whereas you couldn't really. This is also carbon fiber, so they couldn't really pull it. They had to replace it. That's why they replaced the hood, and got dent here. And actually, when you look at it further from the push of this side has been, this piece that goes on the apron has been buckled a little bit more than this side. I think this is normal. Like this side is normal, but it shouldn't be that much. It should be there just should be a little dip. But since this got hit on this side and pushed in, this one buckled and this got pushed up a little bit. Again, to me, this is not a severe collision. This is just, happens. People hit things. Who knows what they hit? But I'm thinking maybe they damaged this fender too, and they had to replace it. Or actually,
Yeah, they did damage this fender. It's pretty obvious. So it got damaged here, so maybe that's why they removed the bolts and adjusted the fender. So I guess the fender is original. They just removed the bolts and adjusted this fender. But yeah, just wanted to show you what are these some of the how it would look like if a car's been hit from the front or whatnot, and what you think, what things you can spot to be able to tell if it was an accident or not.
Okay, and with that said, I think that's going to conclude our last video of the series on how to inspect a used car for purchase. Again, the idea of this video series was not to not to have you not be able to find a car. If again you're buying a used car, there are going to be problems. There are going to be hopefully minor mechanical issues. Maybe you can spot some previous body repairs and whatnot. But the idea was, again, hopefully for you to be able to spot any major issues, so you can stay away from those and then concentrate on ones that have minor issues. Use whatever you found to your advantage to try to talk down the price maybe. But at the same time, there's no guarantees. You go try it, even you try to inspect it as thoroughly as we did, there's things you might miss. So again, if you're spending a bunch of money, take it to a professional, have them check it out. Okay? So yeah, hope you like this video series. I know I did. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you at the next one. Thanks for watching.